So, welcome to the Potted RV. I'm Constance, and we're going to be covering something kind of interesting to me. I hope you find it interesting. I understand if you don't, because not everybody does. And that is tomatoes and tomato fertilizers in particular. I have two different types of tomato fertilizers. I also, want to cover the differences between acidic fertilizer and regular fertilizer. Acidic fertilizer is going to have sulfur in it. It's a pretty simple thing. Most of the time you're not going to find a sulfur. This one does actually have a little bit of sulfur in it, but you're not going to find a lot of sulfur in your regular fertilizers. Whereas your acid-loving fertilizers is going to have, this one actually has less fertilizer in it, that's funny, but it doesn't have any major amounts of calcium, which the other one does. But they're the ones that are designed for azaleas, blueberries, and plants that like a bit more acidic soil. They're going to be more situated for the micronutrients that the soil itself, the microlife in the soil needs in order to break down and maintain the soil levels, as well as give the nutrients that the plant needs. And that is one of the big reasons why you want to have, if you have soil-loving, acidic-loving plants, you want to have both types. You don't want to be using a regular fertilizer with acid-loving plants, because it can cause your pH to climb. Doesn't always, but it can. So it's a good idea to use one that's specifically designed for acid-loving plants. Now, I'm recording 2 videos today. I did the blueberry video a little bit ago, so my brain is still on blueberries, but we're talking tomatoes today, so let's do tomatoes. And with the tomatoes, I've never been really that overly impressed with granulated fertilizers up until recently. And I've had people recommend this one to me. This is Mater Magic. This is their organic one. I've had people recommend it to me, so I'm going to try it and see how it does. I'll be trying this on the 2 tomatoes that I just recently planted, see if it provides a difference compared to the Expert Gardener that I use on my other one, which that one I bought with blossom end rot. It had blossom end rot pretty badly, and I had assumed, because I only saw one fruit that appeared to have damage to it, so it looked more like somebody was pressing on it, and it turned out to be blossom end rot. More fruit started developing it, which is definitely blossom end rot. And I do have to say that I was really, really pleased at how quickly that corrected. And I will show you, we have beautiful fruit now, and my other San Marzans are starting to bloom, so we're definitely going to get them fertilized because they haven't been fertilized yet. I typically don't do fertilizing for them after I did my initial planting. I don't do it until they bloom. So we're going to cover that, and I'm going to take you along with me. We're going to do the Mater Magic on the San Marzans too, because they haven't been fertilized except for when they were first planted. But I'm going to remain using the Expert Gardener on the Better Bush tomatoes that have blossom end rot, because I want to see the difference in how they produce. So we'll go ahead and get into that, and I'll take you along with me. You get over yourself. Yeah, you need to get over yourself. I know you think you're special. I'm going to come over to these guys. I did finally move them, so they're now in the center. I didn't remove the others in the back because I want to make sure that they took just fine. So we're going to, this is for someone with a little hand. This doesn't do so great. Okay. The shaker thing I don't like. Officially don't like that. This says to just put them over top. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it goes. Now, in all honesty. I have these other ones that need to be fertilized too, and then I'm going to be doing the same thing I did with those two and covering them in a wood mulch just to keep the moisture in because we're coming into the summer part. So we'll be doing that. So let's come down here. I apologize for Miss Special. She's convinced she's precious. She's right, but she's convinced she's precious. So I have the tiny tomato here that also needs to be fertilized. And then that's the San Marzans that I really, really desperately need to tie up before they become a really big problem. And we'll get there. And of course my allergies always start to give me a problem. Let's see. Now. Oh. Okay. I hate where the camera is on this. The camera lens is on this. I want to bring them around where they're easily seen, that they're catching with another plant. Let's see. Let's pull it back here. All right. So they're starting to bloom again, which is nice, but they are very heavily laden with fruit, and they have some fruits that are ripening, which I'm happy about. And they look really, really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and fertilize them. Now, to be honest, with this fertilizer, I pretty much use it on everybody. It's a pretty standard basic fertilizer. It's nothing overly special. So I know for a fact that just about everything needs to be fertilized. We're just going to go ahead and fertilize everything at the moment. Okay. Now the peas, for being a dwarf variety of peas, there was some misinformation because those got a lot bigger than they were supposed to have gotten. I'm still not hitting what I need to, which is back here. All right. And it's basically how I handle fertilizing. Now, I genuinely was certain that that zucchini was going to die because my husband wanted me to dig it up and move it instead of dig it up and throw it out. But it has popped back up, so it may be fine. So we're going to give it a chance to be fine. Okay. And now that pretty much the main things are fertilized, I will end up going through and fertilizing the strawberries off in the corner and whatnot. And then everything will have their fertilizing amount, which should stop some of the, oh, I already put that plant over on the table. I forgot I did that. Should stop some of the yellowing because I've got like this right here, this is a dill, and I'm seeing a lot of yellowing that this plant does not normally have issues with, and I'm dead certain it's a lack of fertilizer. The strawberry isn't a lack of fertilizer, it is strictly a lack of space. It doesn't have the space it should, but that's fixing to change. So that should go through and solve some of that issue. So there's my wonderful little goofy dog who felt the need to talk to me. She is almost 8 years old. She is a purebred English Mastiff. She's a sweetheart. My son is convinced that she is a toy, and she is convinced he's a puppy. And she treats him like she's his mama, and she's her puppy. That's just so funny. So that's basically how I go about fertilizing everything. I use, I think I used the wrong one. I actually used the acid-loving fertilizer for it. That's okay. Most things like it a little bit more on the acidic side than on the alkaline side. And that was one struggle that I had in Tucson a lot. Oh, of course, it's going to be funny. And that was specifically Tucson is its bedrock is on limestone. And that's one of the ways you can tell whether or not you have very acidic soil or very alkaline soil is by your bedrock. If you are on granite, you're going to have very acidic soil. If you're on limestone, your soil is going to be extremely alkaline. And in Tucson, that's the problem. It was once a low-lying sea, and it's very, 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 very definitely limestone. And I had never dealt with caliche before, but I had my discovery with caliche too. You're looking, and when you go to test your soil there, I tested mine, and it came out about 9. That's very, very alkaline. And I did not realize that that was what was causing me to have problems with my cucumbers. Cucumbers do not like, and they like it slightly acidic rather than slightly alkaline, let alone very alkaline. So I was having problems with them. I'd get them to grow, but I had one in 8 years fruit, and it produced one single fruit and died. And that one that fruited was one I had tried in a small 5-gallon grow bag, and I think that's the only reason it fruited. But because the water in Tucson is also coming out of the aquifers, it's not above ground. They don't provide water that's above ground. It's all from the natural aquifers in the area. And because of that, the water out of your tap is also very hard, very alkaline. So I didn't realize I should be adding an acidic fertilizer to keep everything slightly acidic. So I only ever got the one fruit. I ended up discovering that was my problem right before we moved. And I don't wish that on anybody. That was such a struggle. I've had gardens. My first garden was in Fountain, Colorado when I was 9 years old. And it was a flower garden. And I've had gardens all the way from South Dakota all the way to southern Texas, Victoria. And basically very frigid cold. If I remember right, I think South Dakota's like 4. I think it's 4 VU. I'd have to look again. It's been many, many years since I've grown in South Dakota, but I did grow in South Dakota. And Tucson and Victoria both are 9B. I think Tucson might have gone up to 10A. I'm not sure. I know they changed the growing zones a year or 2 ago. So I moved away right before they did it. So I don't know if Tucson got changed or not. But you don't want to go too acidic with your garden plants, but you don't want to get too alkaline either. So fertilizer does help keep things under control in that regard, which is nice. As you see my strawberries over here. These guys right here. They all need to be up potted, but they still look really, really healthy compared to the one that's in the, let's see if I can, yeah. Compared to the one that's right here, that's in the planter that it was sold in. Those planters, they plant way too many of them in there. So they're not ideal for growing long term. They're not even ideal for growing one single crop. These strawberries are definitely June bearing. They were not even the right type to do that in, but that's okay. Because I ended up buying 2 planters. There's going to be just like this black grow bag right here. They're about the same size. We're going to be doing one right along here, and then one over where the tumbler is for the composter. And that way I'm going to be moving the strawberries that are those ones. These ones are going to be moved into the one over here. And if I have room, I'm also going to be doing both the blackberry and the raspberry, one on either side. And then I'll be doing probably some of the herbs that are in too small pots. They're probably going to go into the other one. And then I'll end up resetting, deciding what I'm going to start to do for the smaller pots. And that's the downside with these smaller pots. Like all of my roses need to be potted, although I'm probably going to give a few of them away. I have way too many roses. It's just way too many roses. And I'll probably do a few of them. Now, I'm not going to do any changes with the peas because those are going to be going out soon. So when they do, I'll put something else in that pot. I won't bother with a nitrogen fertilizer with that pot because they should be just fine because the peas were in it. The peas are nitrogen fixers. But I do have the African daisies. I have 2 African daisies that have been up potted twice and they're still in too small of a pot. So they're going to have to be dealt with. So there's that. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble and go into way too much detail on what I was going to do. And I guess that really isn't a bad thing. When you love what you do and you love gardening, you can talk all day long. And I am one of those that I do. I absolutely love gardening and I will find a way. It's my joy outside of my son. This is my favorite thing in the world to do, although he still tops my garden. He does. But we have a great deal of joy just watching him, especially when he notices a ripe strawberry. He loves the strawberries. He does not like store-bought strawberries, which doesn't surprise me. He's gotten very accustomed to Mom has better ones, and he makes a point of that. Anyway, I do have to go ahead and call this one as it is. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.